Hi all, this is Sailesh from AsianCultureVulture.com. I'm delighted you could join us. This is the last video of Cannes 2022, or Cannes 75 as some people say. I'm with Brigitte Leroy-Karakian, who's been covering the Cannes Film Festival with us for these past few days. I think the early bit really is dominated by Deepika Padukone.
Yeah.
So what did you think?
Well, I think she was really bright. She was very beautiful, very stylish when she arrived for the press conference of the jury the first day with her foulard and in her hair, smiling, and her beautiful necklace. And I've been so happy she made my day. I could have a picture with her.
That was amazing. You getting a selfie. I think there was only one other person who got a selfie in that.
I'm one of the lucky ones.
Indeed. Yeah. And what do you think the French make of Deepika Padukone?
I think they've just discovered her very recently, but now she's also an ambassador of the French brand Louis Vuitton, and she's working with Nicolas Guéquière. Right. So this is a huge platform, well, for the French fashion, of course, but also on an international stage. I'm very happy for her.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And she was in the pavilion. She helped to inaugurate the India Pavilion. That was an incredible moment, I thought, that star power. I could feel it almost, because you had Madhavan, Tamana Bhatia, Nawazuddin Siddiqui, A.R. Rahman, Shekhar Kapoor, and Deepika as well. And then in the audience you had, sitting right at the front, you had Urvashi Rautela and Pooja Hegde. That was an incredible start. And then there was a party at the end of that celebrating India as the country of honour, which has never happened before. Never had a country of honour. This is the first time they had it, and they chose India, and they had a massive party which Brigitte was lucky enough to attend. Brigitte, what was it like?
It was on the Majestic Beach. It was absolutely incredible. 1,000 people, plenty of places where you could have drinks and vegetarian food. Everybody was very entertained, and well, really you could feel that it was the time of India that evening. And we had a huge fireworks on the beach too. It was really great. Everybody was happy. You could see people dancing with this very famous singer. And I could also see Pooja Hegde and Tamana Bhatia over there.
That's right.
It was a really nice party, and I'm glad that India was the country of honour this year.
There was a massive firework display, literally announcing India had arrived in Cannes for 2022.
Yeah.
What do you think this means?
I think it's a way of showing that India and France want to tighten their links, not only on a cultural field, but probably on more aspects, maybe economical or technical, I don't know. One of the, I can't help thinking about the movie Rocketry, where there was this huge ties, this huge link between France and India for the Arianespace project. So well, for me it was really a piece of history, and I'm glad it was on that movie.
Yeah, it was slightly surreal, because in the audience there was about 150 people with A.R. Rahman and Shekhar Kapoor, and A.R. Rahman actually even waved to me because we did a selfie. I haven't even put that out in real time, but because I've got so many pictures and so many little things that have been so many things that happen, and it's almost happening at the same time, and it's very difficult to find a little spot or a little moment where you can actually think, right, now I need to get something together and put it out. So there was lots going on at the India Pavilion. Every evening there was a launch from about 5 o'clock. There were a lot of panel discussions. We were busy interviewing people, but it was a great thing. Two TV stars who are now moving across into films. Hina obviously did her first film, Lines, with Razak Kazmi, and she's now made another film with him called Country of Blind, which also looks fascinating, set amongst a community that cannot see, and then a person who can see comes into that community and disrupts a lot of things. It's based on an H.G. Wells story called The Country of the Blind. That story was set in Spain, but this has been adapted for the Himalayas, up beyond Srinagar, 2.5 hours, in a very remote place called Dupatri. I thought that was really interesting, and also Razak Kazmi is also involved in a second film called Kaya Palat, which stars Helly Shah. She's making her debut, her film debut. Again, another interesting story about mafia gangs in Jammu and Kashmir and how they operate, based on a true story, and a romance that kind of crosses boundaries. Rahat Kazmi is doing a lot of work, and he's either writing, or he's acting, or he's directing. Sometimes he's doing all three, and he's a filmmaker whose journey I've been following, and he's getting bigger and bigger in terms of the kind of stars he's working with, and it'll be really interesting to see where he goes, because he's on an upward trajectory, definitely. In terms of the films you saw, Bridget, what really struck you? I mean, Rocketry, you enjoyed Rocketry?
I enjoyed Rocketry because it's a piece of history, and I think it's important to show it to everyone, not only in India but in the world. And also talking about someone who was really dedicated to his activity, his science, very much devoted to his country, and how justice didn't work for him. I think it's important to learn about this story, and maybe in the future, be cautious. You never know when very jealous people, how they could hit you, etc. So I think it's an important movie. But it's not the only movie I liked.
Now, Bridget, I have to ask you about Madhav, and you got the chance to interview him. What was that like?
Well, it was a dream come true, I must say, because I've been to India several times and I had the opportunity to interview quite a few directors and actors. But Madhavan, I couldn't imagine that one day I would meet him. So that was a great opportunity. I'm so glad he came to Cannes, and he was invited by the Ministry of Information and Culture. I'm really, really glad that he came here, and maybe we'll see him again.
Well, let's hope so. He was one of several Indian talent that came with the government, the Minister of Information and Broadcasting, Anurag Thakur, and there was a real statement early on about India's cultural exports and their cultural strength, their soft power in many ways. What other films touched you this year in Cannes?
Well, I've seen 2 Korean movies. No, it's not a Korean movie. It's a French and Cambodian and Korean movie. It's called Back to Seoul, about all those young babies who were adopted abroad. It's a quite sad story, but it was made in a manner which was quite arty and very interesting. I think the French audience, the audience, was captivated by that story. And I've seen by Park Chan-wook, the very famous Korean director, Decision to Leave. It's a thriller, and you wouldn't imagine that he would make such a story with complex characters. So I think all the audience was really, really amazed by his ability to master so well all the very difficult personalities.
많이 놀라셨겠습니다.
Their background and some hidden stories of each character.
I think it's a great lesson for India, that all the Korean films that have been here and the Korean directors, it's been happening for many years. I've seen it develop over time. Obviously we've got the famous example of Parasite and the way that journey started here in Cannes and then went all the way to the Oscars.
You're right.
Similarly with Indian films and this association, if they can find the kind of films that work for Cannes, I think there's a big future in terms of seeing more Indian directors, more Indian films. And I want to talk about the 2 films from South Asia that are here. Joyland, which is Pakistani and was in the Uncertain Regard section, and All That Breathes, which had a special screening, which is a documentary from India. I think that bodes well. Joyland is an incredibly challenging film in the sense that you think it's a lot about transgender, but it's actually about a lot more. And I got a chance to interview Sawat Gilani, who's one of the actresses who's in the film, and she plays quite a significant character, a female character, and it has a lot about women, and it is about patriarchal society, but a lot of it is about what's going on underneath. And I thought it was a really fascinating film. It got a fantastic reception. And the documentary, All That Breathes, also is a fabulous examination of Indian society at a kind of an interesting point in history, made over a period of about 18 months and really following two Muslim brothers and the way they run a kind of bird hospital, bird sanctuary, and I think it went down very well here in Cannes. And I think all that is very encouraging for the future in terms of South Asian cinema and getting both Indian and Pakistani filmed, and maybe Bangladesh. Bangladesh had a movie last year which you saw.
Yeah.
And so there is a lot. I think there's a lot of promise, and I think filmmakers need to see what works and pitch accordingly. So what is your highlight from this year's?
Well, I've seen Top Gun Maverick. It was really something. People were waiting for it, and I watched the movie. It's a great American movie with lots of incredible pictures and sceneries and footages, and they made it as a documentary at the beginning. You understand how the pilots have to really be strong against all the Mac they receive each time they fly, etc. It's a very difficult type of job, and also, well, you have the story with Tom Cruise, and Tom Cruise is so fit at his age. Everybody was impressed by the way he looked on the red carpet, and he's been really kind with the fans. He took time, and that was very much appreciated.
I got a chance. I saw him from about 20 meters away, and I took a picture, and I didn't think it was a great picture because it was through some glass, but it got retweeted, and I was really surprised. But he's obviously another person with a lot of star power.
Mm-hmm.
Final thoughts on Cannes?
This is a year where things are really coming back. After, well, last year there was also a Cannes Film Festival, but few people had visas to come, so the attendance was really low. Now things are coming back as normal, but not completely normal either, because, for example, Chinese people couldn't get a visa to come. So it's a difficult year. It's not really like in the past, and probably things have changed, and Cannes has to adapt too. So I hope that in the future we will see how things will change and how they will encourage cinema to also move and progress and bring new subjects as much as possible.
Yeah, I think that reconnection is very important, and we've met a lot of people that we used to see quite regularly when we coming here over the years, and to meet up and to share the Cannes experience with them was wonderful. I think it's important. If you go back to 2020 and the start of the pandemic, and we were preparing to come to Cannes for May 2020, and then everything went up the wall, as it were. And I remember saying when the global health pandemic had finished, we'd find our wings and be back. And here we are, we're back. And I think it's an important restatement for Asian Culture Vulture to be back here. It's where really our YouTube journey started, with the L'Oreal stars, and sadly L'Oreal have kind of changed their media tack a little bit. It's much more difficult for us to get them. We're still trying, we keep trying. But it's really you guys who are making the channel. So do subscribe. The more subscribers we have, the more likes, the more comments, the more we can do, and the bigger the stars we'll get, I think. I hope you've enjoyed our Cannes content over these last few days. We're kind of wrapping up here, and then we'll be looking at other international film festivals, and no doubt we'll start planning for Cannes 2023. I just wanted to say a big thank you to Bridget Loire-Korakian for helping us. The Madhavan interview is fantastic. And of course, Natalie Barrass behind the camera, working tirelessly to get these videos out, editing fast and long into the night, and then early in the morning.
So for me, my highlight was doing the red carpet the other night that we did for David Cronenberg's film, being like part of that whole setup of all the photographers and the camera people, watching you get told off for not having the correct thing on.
Having a Shawani, which didn't have a black tie, obviously.
And then also doing the filming that we did with Helly, Shah, doing the L'Oreal stuff as well. So getting to go backstage in the Martinez where all the glamorous people get ready, and being in the same room as Lady Victoria Hervey. And they didn't know who she was.
That's L'Oreal. You knew who she was.
I knew who she was, yes.
Let's hope we're all back in 2023.
Yeah.
Yes.
So